rangefinder cameras. When you're seeing people on YouTube making film content, most of the time it's with SLRs, but what about these lesser loved film cameras? Today we're going to look at rangefinder cameras, how you use them, and how to take awesome pictures with them. Well, here we are with our rangefinder. This one is a Fed 2. This is a really easy camera for us to load. I think it's going to be a good description of how it is to load most of the rangefinders. When we look at rangefinder cameras, why are they called that? Well, because they have a rangefinder window here that on the Leica styles, like our Zorky 1 here, the Zorky 1 has two windows. One is the rangefinder window and one is a composing rangefinder window. This was later abandoned for the combined rangefinder viewfinder window, which is significantly more convenient. So when we look through this window, what do we see? Now you're going to see in here we have our rangefinder window. You see that yellow dot in the middle? That is our split image prism. So much like we did with the other camera, as you turn your lens, the split image will come more into focus. I know this is maybe not, from a phone camera, the most elucidative sort of thing, but you'll see a split image where it's blurry, or like misaligned, and then as we twist the lens, it will come into alignment. This is apparently better suited for the human eye. But anyway, you get the general idea here that we look through and we are turning the camera lens. But one of the curious things is you're not actually seeing through the camera lens. That's right, when you're looking through the rangefinder, you're looking through this window here and this window here at the same time. There is a combined image being put together, and you are not looking through the lens because, unlike an SLR camera, there's no mirror in here. So what's really interesting about the way that these cameras work is that the lens itself presses on this little arm here, and that creates a differential here in this window, which then is, reconciled with this window as the generalized viewfinder, and you're able to see two images which, as you twist the lens and as the focus pushes on this lever, will come into alignment, and then you're able to take your shot and know that it's focused. So it's actually a brilliant device, because some of the early SLRs had it that you had to look through a window, and it was, you saw exactly what was in the lens, but it wasn't a split image. And so you had to just sort of eyeball it and say, well, I think that looks clear enough to me. And maybe it wasn't. So to have this as a way to check your focus effectively, that like, yes, scientifically that is aligned, is really cool. And I actually like rangefinders for that reason and end up shooting quite a lot of them. So now that we've generally talked about rangefinders, it's important to say that for all of the Leica style rangefinders, that includes Zorkies, that includes Feds, your Leica 1 and 2, that includes the Canon Leica copies like my Canon 3 here. It includes, I believe, also like the Tower and Nikka cameras that once upon a time were also out there. Anything that looks, if it looks like this, consider it to probably need this treatment, and that is to wind the camera before you change the shutter speed. And this is critical because the mechanism inside with these cloth shutters is fragile. And if you change the shutter speed and then wind the camera, it's going to break it, and you're going to have to get it serviced, and it's going to be really sad. And honestly, I've done it before and I'm not proud of it. So don't be like me. Do it correctly. So once we've wound on, we can select our shutter speed. Let's say we want this to be 1/100th of a second. Amazing. There we are. And it went. So we can wind on for our next shot. Let's try this time to do something a little slower. We'll do 1/25th. and look inside, and you can see my shutter. The shutter on this poor Fed 2 needs to be replaced. There's some cracks on it, but it's still a fun camera to shoot for everyday stuff. But when we press our shutter, there we are. Now, how do we load this thing? How do we put film in this, and then what do we do with it? Well, if it's not a bottom loading rangefinder, like the Zorky, which loads from the bottom, I have a separate video on how to load bottom loading rangefinders because it is kind of inconvenient, but it's still worth it in the long run if you like that sort of thing. But for these more generalized sort of rangefinder cameras, you just have to do this. You just have to unlock these two keys on the bottom and slide the back off. And look at that. Here we have the wonderful, the mystical inner workings of a rangefinder camera. And so let's do this one more time where I'm going to wind this on. You can see the shutter curtain passing in front. And then let's press the shutter. Wow. I think these things are just fantastic because there's so much going on with so little. Like, these cameras just have magic in, like, you know, not a lot of space. And I think that's why, looking at this, there's no firmware updates that need to happen. They're not going to push out an update that breaks this or something like that. This is just like gears and grease, and that's what keeps this thing alive. And I think it's fantastic. So this camera specifically is from 1955, I believe, 1955, 1956 or so. And so it's still going. You can't say that about a lot of other tech that's come out, especially in the photographic industry. So how do we load it? With film. So get your film. You're going to place it on the left side, most likely. Your camera may vary, but there's a good chance that you're going to want to follow these exact steps. You'll do that. And then on a lot of these cameras, there's a removable take-up spool. And so we want to take our take-up spool off, and we're going to find exactly how to thread it on. On mine, there's this little ridge here that I am able to tuck the film into. And so let's do that. And once the film is tucked into said ridge, there we are, we can draw the film out, place the take-up spool first, make sure we align any teeth that we have here, because that is key. The teeth are what drives our film forward, and if it's not aligned on there, you might not be able to drive your film. So I'm just making sure that these are set and good. There they are. And they're not quite on, that's okay. As I give this a wind, I think I can reseat that. So here, let's start winding. We'll make sure the film is in its place. And there we are. We have tension. Things are moving. The top teeth have engaged. There we go. This first bit is now wound on. This camera is ready to shoot, and what we can do is put our back on the camera, slide it on, twist, twist, and we're done. And with that, we can press our shutter, and it's done. We have successfully loaded and are ready to take this out. Now, when you're done, what do you do with it? Well, it's kind of a similar process, but a little different. And what we're going to do is make sure you have a release function on your camera, and you need to know where that is first. On most of the Soviet cameras, it is this collar around the shutter. It might vary for other cameras, but let's see. For these type of cameras here, your Leica 3 copies, it is this here. You are going to turn from advance A to rewind R, and then that will allow you to rewind your film. But for these cameras here, like the Fed 2, we are going to press down and twist to the left on this collar. And now you saw that that dropped. And once that drops, it's out of the way, it's ready. So what we can do is pull up on, actually this one doesn't pull up, does it? No, this one's just out as is. Some of these will pull up. Let's see, does the Zorky pull up? The Zorky pulls up. So you might have it that the rewind knob pulls up. In the case of the Fed 2, this one doesn't. That's fine. It's not a big deal. It sticks up enough that we're unencumbered. And what we're able to do is just twist it. And we heard a click and a tug, and now I believe this film is off. So once you've shot through your whole roll, you just need to release the film, wind it back into the cartridge. You'll hear a pop, feel less tension on it, and then you can unload the film, which means pull off the back. Here, yeah, we did it. And this time we didn't rewind it all the way back into the cartridge, so whoever has to develop this will be a little bit happy with us because they don't have to sit here and fish for the leader the whole time. So that's all we have for today, and I hope that this helped with clarifying how to use a rangefinder camera. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, but that's all for today, and I hope you enjoyed. So I hope that this content gave you a little more of an appreciation for the humble rangefinder camera. If you like this content, make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.